Monday, I said, well, I'm supposed to preach Wednesday night, so I better get in there and find something to preach on. And so I did, and I seemed to be pretty well settled on it. And I studied and studied. Tuesday evening, I got a little more time Tuesday evening, so I went back and I reviewed everything and made sure that everything was like I thought it ought to be. And so today, about 1:30, I had some guys working there in the shop, and I said, guys, I got to go in the house and study over my notes and get ready for church tonight. Y'all go ahead. Well, that was a good way of getting out of work too, see. So I did. I went in the house, and the Lord changed my mind. All that other I did was, I'm going to do it, I'll use that later. But I got something on my mind. I wanted the scripture. The Lord told Joshua when they were on their way to the promised land, the Lord told Moses, and then he told Joshua too. When they go in, for them to wipe out the enemies, wipe them out, everybody. Then they would not be bothered with them coming back on them later on. And they did. They went in, and every little country that they came to, and every king that they came to, there was a battle, and the Lord was with His people, and they won. But I was trying to find the scripture where the Lord told them that they were to completely annihilate all of their enemies. Because if they had, then the enemies would not have come back on them in later years, such as the Philistines. I was studying the life, and I was studying the nation of the Philistines. And had they annihilated the Philistines when they first went in, when the Lord was with them and was helping them, they wouldn't have to put up with the Philistines later. Samuel wouldn't have had to bother with the Philistines at all. The Philistines at one point stole the Ark of the Covenant, and they took it and they put it in their place of worship, their temple, and they set their god, their fish god, Dagon. They set him right beside of the Ark of the Covenant on the table, and they come back in the next morning, and old Dagon had fell off the table. And so they set him up, and they put him back there, put him back up there again. And they come back in the next morning. He hadn't only fell off the table, but he broke all pieces. So they wouldn't have had to deal with them had they followed the Lord's word and done what God said do. And so I got to looking for that, and I wound up reading 14 chapters in the book of Joshua, trying to find it, and never did not really ever lock it down. And so after reading in the book of Joshua, I decided tonight that I'll put all that together and put it on the shelf. I decided I'm going to tell a Bible story. Instead of preaching, I'm going to tell a Bible story. Well, here we go. As you know, the children of Israel were led out of Egyptian bondage by Moses. They crossed the Red Sea. The Lord parted the waters on the Red Sea, and they walked across on dry ground. When they got over in the wilderness, if you remember about last Sunday, I preached a sermon on an invitation to a man that was to go with them, Moses' father-in-law, as Moses invited him to go with him. He said, the Lord's already promised Israel that He was going to be good to them, and that He was going to supply all their needs and take care of them and everything. He said, why don't you come go with us? And at first he told him no, but then later he repented and went back, and he did go with them. But Moses told him, said, we'll do you good if you go with us. God will be good to you. God will bless you. Well, Jethro was raised in the desert land of what is called the wilderness. The children of Israel, wandered in the wilderness for 40 years and so he knew this part of the country. He was raised there. He knew the part of the country. And one of the reasons why Moses wanted him to go with him was because he said, if you go with us, you'll be our eyes. You already know where we're going. You know the good camping spots, and you know where the water holes are, and all of this. So why don't you come go with us? And there again, he did. But the children of Israel wound up wandering in the wilderness for 40 years there. And as you know the story, that Moses did not get to go to the promised land because he did what God told him. He did what God told him to, and then he did what God told him not to. And so he didn't get to go in. But it comes down to the time where Joshua is taking over, is going to lead the children of Israel into the promised land. And they're getting ready to cross the Jordan River there as they would go in. God gave them special instructions on what to do. Now, everybody that had left Egypt with Moses when it came time for them to go into the promised land had died off. Do you know why? You remember the spies went in to spy it out. The 12 spies went in to spy it out, and the 10 of them said that no way we can take this land. In other words, they didn't trust God. And so every one of them that left Egypt died before they went in. So there was a point after they got over into Canaan land there where none of the Israelites none of the males had been circumcised, so they had to go back and circumcise all of the males. There, no one went into the promised land there except those that was 20 years and older that came out. I'm not telling that right. No one went in that was 20 years young when they left Egypt. That's what it was. Those that was under 20 years old is the only ones that when everybody that was over 20 years old did not go in. But anyway, they went in. The Lord gave them special instructions, and the Lord is instructing Joshua in chapter 1 there. He said, now after the death of Moses, the servant of the Lord, it came to pass that the Lord spake unto Joshua the son of Nun, Moses' minister, saying, Moses, my servant, is dead. Now therefore arise and go over this Jordan, thou and all this people, into the land which I do give them, even to the children of Israel. And every place that the sole of your foot shall tread upon, that have I given unto you, as I said unto Moses. Now be sure and get that. every place that the sole of your foot treads upon, I'll give it to you, just like I said to Moses. So that was a promise that God was going to take care of them right there. Okay? For the wilderness and this Lebanon, even unto the great river, the river Euphrates, all the land of the Hittites, and to the great sea toward the going down of the sun shall be your coast. And there shall not any man be able to stand before thee all the days of thy life. As I was with Moses, so I will be with thee, and I will not fail thee, nor forsake thee. Be strong and of good cheer, for unto this people shalt thou divide for an inheritance the land which I swear unto their fathers to give them. Now, the first 14 chapters of the book of Joshua there is either fighting a battle or dividing a land. They did inherit all of the land of Canaan, and it was divided up unto the Israelites into different tribes. As it started out, there was 12 tribes of the children of Israel, and each one of them got a particular parcel of land. And in the first 14 chapters, much of it is showing the division of this land and so on and so forth. But before they ever crossed the Jordan River, the Lord told Joshua, he said, as I've already instructed Moses back, I'm going to instruct you now. Have the priest that carries the Ark of the Covenant, have them to come up and pick up the Ark of the Covenant and take it and stand in the edge of the water there. And then when the people see them taking up the Ark of the Covenant and going and standing in the edge of the water, for them to start breaking camp and getting ready to move. Now, get a picture of this in your head. There was approximately 6 million people that was about to cross the Jordan River. Those that were down close to the Jordan River, they were camped down close to the crossing of the Jordan River, they were the first to see the priest that would take up the Ark of the Covenant and get ready to go. All the rest of them knew about it. Everybody knew about it. But so it took a little while. Matter of fact, it took about 3 days for them to get ready to go. And so when they took up the Ark of the Covenant and they were in the water there, the Lord told them, said, when the soles of the feet of the priest that carry the Ark of the Covenant, when they step into the brim water. All right, do you know what brim water is? That time of year, the Jordan River always was out of banks. Now they were fixing to cross this Jordan River. Have you ever seen a river out of banks? I mean, really running hard, and out of the banks, and water flooded on both sides. The bottomlands on both sides was flooded. And when they started, when the soles of their feet began to move, and they stepped into the brim water there, that is the backwater of the Jordan River, the waters began to part. They didn't walk in any mud. They walked on dry land all the way across. God parted the Jordan River. And he told Joshua, he said, pick 12 men, one from each tribe of the children of Israel. And when they get out to the middle of the river, there where the Ark of the Covenant there and the priests are standing, take 12 stones from that part of the river. Each one pick up a stone, a big stone, one that they would carry on their shoulder, and take it to the other side of the river. Now the picture that I've got in my mind, the priest that was carrying the Ark of the Covenant, when they got to the middle or the deepest part of the Jordan River, and the water was standing up on the heap on each side of them, as they stood there, it was God's hand that held back the water, but it was them that caused it to be held back. And they gathered up 12 stones, and they carried them across the Jordan River there. And when they got over on the other side, then they were instructed to put them into a heap. It was to make a mark there to show the world thousands of years later that this is where the children of Israel crossed the Jordan River. And then the ark and the priest and the rest of the people that followed there came on across the Jordan River. And there, when they had gotten there, they sent 3 men into Jericho there to spy out Jericho. They when they got there, they snuck in by a harlot that lived there in the city, and she brought them in there, and because she already knew, God had already revealed to her what was about to happen. And as soon as they got in, the king seen some strangers come in. He'd already seen this mass of people that was on the banks of the Jordan River, just outside of Jericho. I think it was Miss Beth. I believe it's where they were. I believe that was the name of the town there that they were in, but it was just outside of the Jericho walls. He seen them come in, and so somebody said there that it was Rahab that brought him in, and so he brought her in and questioned her. Where are these men? What are they here for? And what are they doing? Well, she told a little bitty lie. She said, "Oh, they've already gone out the gate. They done left," and she had them hid. And she hid them on the housetop, and she went and told them what was going on. And she told them, said, "When you leave, go to the mountains, because if you go back to the river, they're going to come back, and you're going to meet them on the way, and they'll kill you." So they did. They left and they went to the river. To the mountains. 3 days later, they came back to Joshua and into his camp and told him that everything was ready. But they said one thing that Rahab had asked: "If I help you, when you come upon the city, when you destroy the city, take care of me, my mother, and my father, and my belongings." So they told Joshua that, and he said, "I'll honor that," and he did honor that. The Lord told Joshua then, he said, "This is what we're going to do." He said, we're going to line up the priest and the Ark of the Covenant first. We're going to put out in front of them, I want you to choose 7 men, soldiers, if you will, with trumpets. And then between them and the Ark of the Covenant, they then line up the other soldiers, and they've got trumpets too, by the way. And he said to the rest of the people, he said, "Y'all just kind of follow in behind the Ark of the Covenant there, and we're going to march around the city for 6 days." But he said, and they told the people, Joshua told the people, "Don't make a sound." He told all them women, "Don't make a sound. Don't talk. Don't tell nobody. Don't make a sound." Well, after the first day, they done pretty good. The second they come around, they still had not made a sound. Not a sound was made. 6 days they had not made a sound. Nobody talked for 6 days. I know why. That when they finally shouted, the walls come down. Wayne, can you imagine Claudine keeping quiet for 6 days, not making a sound? Vernon, can you?
I just don't see how them women kept their mouths shut that long.
I tell you, that must have been the toughest thing ever was.
I know some men is just as bad.
I knew, see there, you couldn't keep quiet, could you? I knew you had to say something. I knew you'd have to say something. But that was something that I kind of liked as I read about that. Couldn't make sound for 6 days, and on the 7th day, when you come around the city on the 7th day. Oh, by the way, he said, when we spoil the city, all the gold and the silver and the fancy clothing belong to the Lord. It goes into the treasure of the Lord. Do not take anything when the city is spoiled. Go in and do not take anything at all. And we're going to destroy it. It'll be burned. We're going to destroy it. Of course, you know, on the 7th day, the seventh trip around, they blow the trumpets and they let out a loud shout, and the walls of Jericho come tumbling down. Then they went in and they spoiled the city. Everybody that was still living, they killed. That's what God said do. They killed. They done what God said had told them to do. And they burned and they just completely destroyed what was left. And the Lord said, destroy it in such a way that it can't be rebuilt on that site. And then he said, then after that, then there was a little town up north of Jericho there. That was the next place that had a king, and so he said, go up to Ai and take Ai. Well, one of the captains said he went up there and spied it out, and he come back and he said, Joshua said they ain't no need to send them but about 4,000 or 5,000 up there. Now, Israel had a strong army of at least 30,000 at this time. He said they ain't no need to send about 4,000 or 5,000 up there. That's a little bitty place, and them wimps can't do anything anyway. Well, they did. They went up there overconfident. And the first thing that they knew when they got to the gates of the city, the men of Ai came out and they gave them one of the biggest whoopings they'd ever had. In fact, they not only give them a whooping, but they run them off. I mean, they chased them, run them completely off. And Joshua was very despondent. He said, we have taken the city of Jericho. All these other people around, the Philistines and all these other countries around, they're going to say, well, we don't have to fear them. We can do anything we want to them. A little old city like Ai, run them off. I mean, just give them a good whooping. But there was something wrong. God said, all the spoils, the gold, the silver, and anything that's worth anything goes into the treasury of the Lord. But there was a fellow by the name of Achan. while he was ravaging through the trash, you might say, at Jericho, he found a little silver, just a little bit of silver, and a little triangle of gold, and a good-looking Babylonian garment. And he said, nobody will never know. And he stuck the gold and the silver in his pocket, and he went to his tent, and he dug a hole in the floor of his tent, and he buried it so that nobody would know. But God knew. Joshua said, what are we going to do? God said, I'll tell you what the problem is. I told you not to take anything. But somebody did. Somebody took something. He didn't tell Joshua who it was. He said somebody took something that they shouldn't have taken. So there's sin in the camp. When there's sin in the camp, God's people can't be on fire for the Lord.
Right.
He said there's sin in the camp. He said, yeah, I tell you what, dude, bring in all 12 tribes, all the tribes. And one tribe at a time. Start with the eldest of this tribe, and go down the line and find out who it was. And when you find out who it was, take his life, his wife's life, his children's life, everything that he has, every cow that he owns, every sheep that he's got, everything that he owns, destroy it. When they got down to Achan came in and they asked him about it, and he said, yes, I did. I took it. I'm very sorry that I took it, but I took it. And I hid it in the floor of my tent. They went to his tent and they looked and they found it. They took him out. They slew him, his wife, his children, everything that he had, and burnt them. Completely destroyed them. There's no trace of them. And then the Lord let them go back to Ai again. Well, they kind of tricked Ai that time when they went back. Joshua took just a handful of men with him and went to the gate of the city, but out behind the city, on the north side of the city, he had hid out 20,000 soldiers. And when they came out the gate and they turned to run, they drawed all of the men out of the city. And the Lord told Joshua, he said, point your spear towards the city. And when he did, the 20,000 that was hid out came, and they utterly destroyed the city of Ai, along with those that was chasing them. When they seen look back and seen the smoke of the city burning, then they turned tail and run too. And so they killed him as well. Well, that gave Joshua a little courage then. It wasn't the little city that had whipped them in battle. It was the sin that Achan had sinned, and the whole nation of Israel had to pay for it. When we have a great sin, even in our own country today, I believe we all pay for it. You say, well, it's not my fault. I didn't do it. It doesn't make any difference if it was your fault or not. They went to many other cities, and God honored them, and God let them capture them. The Philistines, the Canaanites, Hittites, the Gergesites, and all of these other countries. There, they were able to overcome. And they divided the spoils between them. But there was one or two that they didn't. Brother Tom, what one of those countries was the giants? The Anakims, is that right? Okay, we'll find out that later. But we're gonna look into some more of this later on. But maybe next Wednesday night, I'll tell you what I've been studying on and what we're gonna try to cover. Maybe a half of it next Wednesday night. There's been something on the news a lot lately, and they're even passing some laws that has not been into effect before. Have you heard anything about bullying on the news lately? They and they're I don't know all about the laws and whatever that they're passing, but they're passing some laws about bullying and what have you. And you know, every kid that goes to school finds a bully. Yeah, there's some in every school. Everywhere we look, everywhere we turn, in every walk of life, you'll find bullies. There's even bullies in church. Yeah. Edith bullies me around all the time. There's bullies in everywhere you go. And I found an interesting study, I think, on bullying. And that's what we'll study next Wednesday night.